Welcome to the Business of Digital podcast presented by IAB Canada. In a fast-moving, multi-platform media landscape, digital out-of-home stands out for its ability to reach audiences at scale in the real world. With context, creativity, and data-driven precision, no longer a standalone channel, digital out-of-home is now deeply integrated into omnichannel strategies. Thanks to the advancements in automation, audience targeting, and measurement, whether programmatically activated through DSPs or part of an experimental brand moment, digital out-of-home offers both performance and presence. Today, we're joined by two of the brightest minds pushing the medium forward, Sarah Kim, SVP Investment and Strategy at Talon Outdoor, and Scott Mitchell, Managing Director at Vistar Media. We'll explore how advertisers are accessing and using digital out-of-home in smarter and more creative ways, and what's next for one of marketing's most visible channels. A special thanks to Acast and Sleepless Studios for supporting our podcast. Acast's commitment to the growth of podcasting in Canada is instrumental, and Sleepless Studios has provided an exceptional space to bring this conversation to life. Now, before we begin, I'd like to ask Sarah and Scott to introduce yourselves.
So I'm Sarah Kim. I'm the Senior Vice President of Investment and Strategy at Talon, and we are an outdoor specialist agency working with all different types of outdoor media. And I've been at Talon for about 7 years now. So this is a new role for me, taking on more in the commercial space and providing clients with the most efficient and effective planning.
All right. Scott?
Yeah, thanks. So I'm Scott Mitchell. I'm the Managing Director for Vistar Media. I had the pleasure and great opportunity to open the office 8 years ago.
Wow.
Our software focuses on and specializes in the out-of-home space. We operate a DSP, an SSP, and also service and work closely with the greater ecosystem through our SaaS software on our media owner partnerships and helping continue to bring software into the legacy space of the out-of-home.
All right. Thank you so much. Now let's start with the first question. What role does digital out-of-home play in the media mix, and how has that evolved over the last 3 years?
Over the last 3 years, we've seen digital out-of-home grow significantly in terms of the versatility and how it's being used in media channels. Traditionally, out-of-home has really been a reach and awareness media, but with the advent of digital out-of-home, more and more advertisers are realizing the opportunity to affect across the funnel and really looking at driving conversions, driving foot traffic, and looking at boosting intent and circulation.
Yeah, certainly. I think this is really exciting and something that kind of out-of-home has had the opportunity to really take advantage of when we've been able to start to measure. We've been able to start to automate. We've been able to start to add data. Metrics that marketers, agencies, and brands are always asking for are now available and has made out-of-home much more accessible and almost brought into a light where they're now able to understand that, hey, if we invest X amount of dollars into the space, we can actually understand a return on investment. We can start to check the box on KPIs. We can start to use data to thread strategies across. And I think the really exciting part and something that's very welcomed in terms of helping not only grow investment back into out-of-home is giving it a stage for it to properly shine. And I know that Sarah and I are very passionate about this. We care deeply about that out-of-home space, and we truly believe that it's a medium that is extremely, I would say, very exciting at the opportunity and a very valuable channel for marketers to continue to invest in. So all these things that are starting to really kind of line up and allowing it to kind of show how effective it can be from a channel perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And we find that out-of-home is really the tide that rises all boats. We find when out-of-home is considered within the media mix that it kind of makes the rest of the campaign shine. And we see considerable boost in other media channels, including an 81% performance increase in search and a 56% increase in social when we see out of home as part of the media mix. And a lot of that is just based on the curiosity of people. They see an ad in out of home and they go immediately to their phone to search for that brand or that new product. So we do really find that out of home is an essential part of many of those campaigns as well.
And it's part of your life, right? Like when we're walking around or you're doing your daily activities, if it's on a beach or driving into an office or taking a streetcar, out of home is intrinsically part of your life. It also gives, consumers and people an opportunity to pause and to just kind of, look up and take a moment in, right? So it is a channel that has always kind of been a part of people's lives, and it's always really at those right moments and, given that opportunity to meet the consumers where they're at.
All right. That's fantastic. Now let's think about Canada for a sec. When you think about digital out-of-home in Canada, what makes it distinct from other markets globally? What misconceptions still exist about digital out-of-home today in Canada? Let's start maybe with you, Sarah.
Sure, yeah. So when we think about what's unique about Canada when it comes to out-of-home, we've got to think about our geographical considerations and think about just how big our country is from a physical standpoint. And then we have sort of these center urban hubs where most of that activity is happening and most of the population is actually dwelling. But it poses some unique challenges for measurement and for mobile and all kinds of other opportunities for some of those smaller markets that can be just as important to a client or an advertiser as the large city centers. But what I think really makes digital out-of-home about Canada unique is the fact that we have so much camaraderie and everybody pushing towards the same objectives within the industry. So it's not very often that you'd have Scott and I both sitting here with sort of similar opportunities in market, having a friendly conversation and having such great rapport. But it's because we both truly love the media and we respect and collaborate together to improve out of home for everybody.
I think the exciting thing about out of home in Canada is that, Sarah mentioned it, and that is we're both here today. And the investment that companies are making into the out of home channel, whether it be from a software perspective, from a service perspective, from media owners continuing to grow their footprint in the market, I think speaks to the belief that they have and how valuable the channel is, but also in the value that it provides to the market. And so the opportunity is that, we must be doing something right if there's a number of partners, companies, and businesses that exist that are focused in out of home. The other thing, and Sarah mentioned, is that we're pretty large, but when we start to understand what the benefits are around out of home, and everyone does that, and we continue to talk about them at scale, it's really that ability to kind of reach these people at the right time in the right spots and in the right places. Out of home is a one-to-many medium, and so we have major city hubs like Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, all the VitComs. And it's really given us the ability to kind of like reach these audiences in these key places in these key cities. And there's tons of opportunity for growth. Media owners are looking to obviously continue to expand their footprint. Investments are being made. Lots of acquisitions have been happening. Are really to speak volumes for how great the opportunity is in Canada.
And it's great to hear that you're seeing that a lot of media owners participating into the digital out-of-home space. But let's talk about the buyer. How easy it is today for a media buyer to activate digital out-of-home inventory through like specialized DSPs, and what's working well and what frictions exist still today.
Well, very excitingly is that you can now log into a platform like Vistar, and you can set up an out-of-home campaign within minutes. Previous to that, you would be making multiple phone calls. You'd be trying to piece different data strategies together. You'd be measuring things independently. But now you have the opportunity to have that consolidated, create more consistency in terms of how you measure and how you run data campaigns. And you can do it within a matter of minutes. The second exciting thing about that is when we start to think of the total out-of-home market. So we start to think of traditional media as well as programmatic digital media, and giving the opportunity to our partners to also now plan
for
both, and to measure for both, and to add these same types of strategies and opportunities that exist for them to bring that consistency for how they view and think of the out-of-home channel. the exciting thing, again, is we're trying to talk about the channel and how valuable it is. And we want all of our partners, everyone, to have access at a reliable software through the instances that they need it and helping them execute the tactics that they want. So when we start to see those things come together, it's really encouraging and very helpful for us to continue to support those partners in the market and to bring the investment in to prove why out-of-home is a valuable channel as well. And I'm sure Sarah sees this on a daily basis.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So respectfully, we see the challenges slightly differently in terms of access for clients. So Vistar obviously offering a lot of self-serve opportunities for clients to go in. We focus more on the managed service, understanding how complex the out-of-home landscape is and how difficult that can be and intimidating for planners who are, just their first foray into out-of-home. They require a lot of education, a lot of help, a lot of assistance. And so Talon can be a place for them to come and get that help, whether they want to do a fully managed service hybrid campaign where we're activating programmatic digital out-of-home as well as static assets, like Scott mentioned, and measuring them all together and being really holistic about how we're thinking about the channel, but also in terms of omnichannel opportunities. If they want to be purchasing on the Trade Desk or DV360 or any other DSP of their choice, we're able to curate and look at opportunities for them that are for the right audience, the right locations, the right media, and of course at the right price. So depending on how they want to activate in the out-of-home space, how much assistance they need or what that looks like, really trying to find opportunities for that to become accessible to them in the way that they, choose.
And I'll probably say, like, the exciting thing about that is that if we asked that question like 5 years ago, we'd probably have a different answer, right? Like we would probably be talking about trying to educate people on, what we'd call it like software in out-of-home or programmatic 1.0. And I think we've been able to come to a part where there's been a really solid foundation put down. And now we're excited about talking about these iterative opportunities, right? And the education, the journey of all of the partners, and really kind of like working together, I would say collectively, to kind of continue to highlight the channel, right? Working in conjunction with like a CTV buy or with, a video buy or a social buy, right? So I would say we've come a really long way in terms of where we're at, but it's almost kind of the beginning, and I think like a really opportunity for us to continue to branch off and drive that education piece home.
Yeah, absolutely. Like 5 years ago, I think we were talking about how do we work together more? How do we get more programmatic spend in out-of-home? How do we help clients understand this new environment, this new way to purchase? And solving a lot of those challenges together, and now look at us.
Look at us now, right? Like I feel it's like Paul Rudd when he say like, "Who would have thought?" Right?
Who would have thought?
Right? But I think that's something that is very exciting, and it's just again upward trajectory for sure. Yeah.
Well, speaking about innovations, at least with digital out-of-home, and I want to direct this question to you, Scott. From Vistar Media's side, what trends are you seeing in terms of how advertisers are using audience data to plan and activate digital out-of-home campaigns programmatically?
Yeah, so I think something that we really talk to a lot of our clients about is we want to help them meet their clients where they're at, where their consumers are at. Obviously, data is something very powerful. It allows us to, target people better, allows us to reach the people at the right time in the right place. And so from our perspective, we're data agnostic. We let our partners inform us and define what audiences they want to reach. That's kind of a starting point for us. Once we kind of understand who they're looking to reach, then we kind of move into some of the other tactics. But really what we're trying to achieve is align with the goals that they're trying to reach and the audiences that they want to talk to. And, that may be working with an Embryonics, that may be a partner bringing their own data into our platform, that may be using a postal code, a different tactic maybe. Maybe it's a weather trigger, or maybe it's a dynamic creative trigger. But really it's kind of starting off of like, hey, how do you define an audience? What are you looking to do? Or maybe it's another discussion where it's we're kind of branching off into a sense of, how are you targeting these audiences in other channels? Can we bring that data into the platform? So it kind of is very client focused and us helping to align with what they're trying to achieve. But we really want to try and continue to work in conjunction with them and make that data as accessible as possible, but also make it so that the story that they get to go talk to their clients about is very conjoined with how they're targeting other audiences too.
All right. Do you want to add anything to that, Sarah?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have a very similar sort of data agnostic approach. Sort of the best strategy is going to win in terms of where we're sourcing the data and which partners are going to be most relevant to clients in that space. So I think it's similar in that way.
Yeah, and the win there again, I think, for out of home is really about that messaging of, we look at the core pillars that are driving adoption and have been driving. It's automation, data, and measurement. Clients and partners understand the value of data. And since we've been able to incorporate that and make that a part of out of home, or how they think out of home is for them, it's really enabled driving retention, and of course us being able to have a conversation that resonates with the clients, right? So
yeah, finding that connection is really important, whether it's going to come from first-party data that client has that's going to help inform the strategy and how we go to market with the plan, but also the reverse. So once we've run the out-of-home and we're looking to do mobile retargeting, so sharing that data back, the exposed devices, whether that's from static or from digital specifically, we're able to do that in a way that makes it really accessible for teams to then capitalize on the frequency that they've already started building in market.
Yeah.
So
comes back to the funnel, right? Like
Yeah.
we mentioned that funnel earlier. I think I was talking to a senior marketer the other day, and they're changing their strategy on how they approach target or reaching consumers. They've removed a very tactical one-by-one approach and have started to think about this in a funnel. Like, who are you trying to reach? Where on the funnel does it exist? How do we, complement these different parts of the funnels with maybe a channel partner or just a partner? So, it's just an iteration of that, I think.
Fantastic. So let's talk a little bit more about the creative stuff. And I want to point this question to you, Sarah.
Sure.
So digital out-of-home is such a visual and creative canvas. What are some ways brands could be pushing the envelope creatively? And what makes a great digital out-of-home campaign stand out? And it would be great if you can, share with us an example or two.
Sure, yeah. I have a few examples in mind, actually, of clients that I think are really capitalizing on purpose-built for out-of-home creative. And I think that really that's the key, is understanding the media itself and what's going to be powerful in that space, right? I think we've all heard the adage that it has to be 7 words or less and it has to be high contrasting colors. And certainly those are creative best practices. But when it comes to planning for out of home, we want to be thinking even more high level than that. We want to be thinking about what message we're trying to get to people and what is going to be, impactful for them. And we find that dynamic creative is really important right now in out of home. And some of the clients who are doing it best are using dynamic creative to their advantage. So a couple of examples locally that we have here from Talon. We have Rogers Sportsnet, who will post actual scores of the games on billboards in real time. So that's a really cool and fun way to get people to engage with their ads, so that it's not just another ad. You're actually seeing who's winning the game, which is pretty cool. We've seen Tim Hortons activate super hyper local campaigns with their roll up the rim and showing winners from specific cities and making people really feel connected to the brand and to the contest, and it has that really local feel when it's someone that you might know or someone that lives down the street. We've also seen some really great examples from our friends south of the border. There was a out-of-home campaign of the year a few years ago from Milk Pep from our Talon US team. Basically what they were doing was using user-generated content to congratulate people or talk about the number of marathons they've completed or talk about their start time in ads in and around the New York City Marathon. And so just really getting the audience engaged and getting people to understand the context and the moment that they're creating an out-of-home with their creative is really important and is a super impactful way to make sure your dollars are going further.
Yeah, there's the creative thing is very exciting, and I think this is kind of what I call the 2.0 part of the approach to out of home or program or software driven out of home. We've nailed the automation. We've had really great success with automation, data, and measurement. Now we're really talking about the opportunity that exists on the canvas of out of home, and sometimes we probably see an out of home ad that comes through that says "click here," and you're just like what?
Click here on an
click
out
here.
of home.
Yeah, you're like, okay, got it. And, that's obviously, you're like, oh, what an opportunity for us to come and talk to our partners about, how you can maximize out of home. And so a couple of years ago, we bought a company called Sage & Archer, and they had a creative studio. And what we've been able to work together with them on, and especially with our partners, is upskilling how people think of out of home and the opportunity that exists. Sarah mentioned dynamic creative. Again, another feather in the cap for out of home to kind of level set of what people's expectations are in terms of capabilities. Now we can serve an ad, not at the right time, the right place, but now we can serve it with the right message. Maybe we want to talk about, a shoe store and it says, hey, it's 500 meters like that way. And someone's jogging that way to the store, right? Even more so exciting, obviously, AI, dare I say it, everyone is talking about it, but it's for good reasons, is that the tool is it's effective. We have an AI tool that now allows us to understand effectiveness of ads before we even create them. And so you can start to add these things into the mix that really lend itself to how powerful not only the canvases are in out of home, but in terms of aligning with how marketers, brands, and agencies are thinking about their approach to creative. And again, just a reminder, like we talk about out of home and it's always people's initial thoughts are billboards, but it's so much more than billboards, right? The media mix in terms of or the venue type mix of out of home it's such a big range and it's so powerful, right? We haven't talked about retail media at all. We haven't talked about place-based.
That's true.
Yeah.
And there's so many opportunities that lend itself to this creative discussion also. And we go back to that funnel. If you're in a if you're in a retail spot, do you want a branding message in there or do you want a call to action in there, right? How powerful can dynamic creative be in a position where, I'm about to buy something and, I want that pack of gum, or I forgot to buy that wine, or whatever it might be. So the creative opportunity is not only to highlight how great out of home is, and in some cases how we feel the missed opportunity is when we receive creative, but the opportunity to upskill it all and then to add kind of a little pixie dust on it in terms of upskilling it or level setting it all.
Yeah, I think to your point, like the tools are there. We're ready. We're ready for all those campaigns that get super specific because the context for out of home has always been its location, right? Whether we're thinking from a geographical standpoint, we're standing outside a specific store, or we're at point of sale, or we're driving on the highway towards a destination. Where the board is in time when the ad is served has always been context for that ad. So now that we have all these fantastic retail and place-based opportunities, we'd really love to see advertisers leading in more to that and understanding that there's opportunities to have a slightly different message that really follows a path and understand the movement that people have throughout their day and opportunities to reach them in out of home.
And I do like the whole discussion about dynamic creative because I feel like that's something that stands out with digital out of home. Have you seen advertisers embrace that, or have you seen an uptick in interest?
Yeah, absolutely. So depending on the advertiser and how early we can get into the conversation, we're encouraging as many of our advertisers as possible that have relevant campaigns to really lean into that and to have fun with it. And with tools like rapid reversioning, as you mentioned, AI, there's lots of opportunity for us to help with some of the creative lift that comes with the change in context or the change in strategy for out of home to make sure that it's really accessible for brands as well as, great theoretically that they can actually capitalize on it.
Yeah, just to give you an example, like obviously stark winter in Edmonton in Canada, it's pretty cold, right? Out of home obviously is still like a yearly, obviously always on channel to use. But, we had a partner that wanted to discount airfares based on the minus temperatures. So if it was like minus 30, it'd be like, hey, 30% off flights to Mexico or something, right? I'm putting an asterisk here. But, those are the type of creativity, to Sarah's point in terms of like, hey, does this make sense? Does this work? Is this the right fit? But those are the exciting things that you can think about. Countdown clocks, like they're all like the world's kind of the oyster in terms of continuing to help align dynamic creative with out of home. But those are just some examples that kind of we've actually seen pop up and that are successful.
It's such an exciting space, right? It feels like that hearing from both of you. And, that goes to my last question. What excites you about the future of digital out of home? And what's one shift you'd like to see how agencies and brand approach digital out of home planning over the next year?
You want to go first?
No, it's okay. Go ahead.
Okay. One thing that really excites me about out of home, I think, is the channel in Canada, I truly feel that everyone is excited about working together to build investment to come back in. And I have the opportunity, and I'm able to chat to lots of different people, lots of different organizations. And the sentiment that I get back is that there is a true belief and a true care that we all want to see out of home continue to shine. And so I think like that is something that is really encouraging. Having the opportunity to spend 8 years coming from a very digital kind of software background and coming into the out-of-home space, it's been able to kind of steal my heart a bit. And the people that I get to work with, like Sarah, as well as many other people, having that type of commitment to the channel and care for the channel is very encouraging and kind of continues to help you kind of move on. So I'm very excited by that perspective. Other things that I'm excited about, I think, are just continued advancements in terms of developing products and being a reliable partner in the market, or generally speaking, that helps continue to open up these discussions with clients who say are DR clients. Helping them understand that like dynamic creative is available, consolidation in terms of understanding measurement is available, building retention through data and measurement. Like those things are very exciting for me. And we've kind of come to a point where we're going to see more of that, I believe. And I think it's going to be something that's going to continue to enable us to get to grow. And to open the conversation into working closer with other channels, omnichannels. Like, how can we better work in conjunction with them? How can we continue to tell the out-of-home story? So I'll leave mine a little larger and, broad strokes from that sense. But
that's actually a great spot for me to jump off from, because I think for us, the future of out-of-home really feels like we're unsiloing it and that we're welcome into more of those conversations a little bit further upstream. Less of a tactical, more of a strategic approach to out-of-home, seeing clients build more creative that's purpose-built for out-of-home, that is really specific to their context, taking advantage of the tools that have been realized in the space, whether it's AI or DCO or anything else that all of our DSPs are working on. I think that is really where we're going to see double-digit growth. And, out-of-home is the only traditional media that continues to grow. A lot of that growth comes from the digital. But it provides more opportunity for clients to be in smaller markets and makes it more affordable when we see investment in the space, which we have been with place-based. So I think, making it more accessible across the country and making sure that it's in every community and that there's lots of dollars to be spread around just outside of those big markets, I think is also really an exciting opportunity for out-of-home.
That's great. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much, Scott, for giving us such great insights to such a exciting and dynamic space. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The brightest technology, the CD-ROM computer. This is a multimedia system. Internet is a massive computer and one that's becoming really big now.
This is a machine that a lot of people are going to be able to afford. That's a very